Okay, hello Sugar Buns, this is Kuroshiro and welcome to Impulsive Tierlist. Yes, this is going to be an impulsive tier list for hunters mainly. We have our 5 categories as usual. We have our OP category, niche, 50-50, personal preferences, and don't bring. I butchered preference. And don't bring. Of course, these are our 5 categories. Let's just get into it and let's not talk too much about it then, shall we? Now, first and foremost, we have Ember. Ember would be niche in this type of situation simply because it also goes along, like when you bring impulsive, right, it also goes along with the other hunter persona trait, which is no survivors. Basically shown on the screen here, I'm not gonna say it. Impulsive increases your movement speed by 8% when using a charged attack, and this lasts for 5 seconds, right? So then, like, it's only when they use charge attack. Well, no, it doesn't last 5 seconds. It has a 5-second cooldown. So it's actually pretty darn decent for a Ember, because a Ember's normal charge attack is 2.06 seconds. It's one of the longest charge attacks hunter animations out there. But also because Ember does bring, like, you know, hunts, which gives them an extra movement speed boost when he doesn't do any animation, interaction, attack, vaulting windows, no skill uses, and just chases the survivor. That extra 10% movement speed boost, and then including that 8% extra movement speed boost when using a charged attack along with a 5-second cooldown. And if, let's say, you know, you throw a puppet out and then you immediately teleport towards that puppet, you get that movement speed boost, and then you immediately do a charged attack for that, you know, a little bit of a longer range. It could hit survivors. It basically gives you extra, you know, extra movement speed. Now, if I can, well, I mean, Puppet Control doesn't really say how much percentage it increases Ember's movement speed, but it is quite a bit, so we are going to put Ember on the niche side. Of course, no survivor persona tree also works for Ember, just so it does allow him as well to, you know, be a little bit careful of harassers when he decides to pick up survivors. But in my opinion right now, it does go quite well on Ember, because Ember is has one of the longest attack animations when it comes to charge attack. Now, second will be Smiley Face. For Smiley Face, it will be just don't bring it. I don't think it's recommended. So for Smiley Face, his launching animation for charge attack is 0.99 seconds. So it's not really worth it in my opinion, because A, you depend a lot on your rockets to hit the survivors, and B, when you unlock phase 1, of course a lot of Smileys do bring insolence. You won't really be relying on normal attack that much, or charge attacks, let's be honest. So I don't think it's a good persona to bring on Smiley Face. You're kind of just wasting like an extra stack of an extra 5 points of persona for no survivors of persona trait. So I don't think it's really that much worth it. Moving on, we will have Gamekeeper. Gamekeeper will also be a just don't bring it on Gamekeeper. His launching action for charge attack is 1.7 seconds. It is considered like a bit long, but when you think about it right, Gamekeeper relies on hooking survivors and trapping survivors to land a hit on them. He also does have a high mobility, and of course being able to hook survivors and trap survivors does mean that he can grab the survivors towards them. So there's really no need for a Gamekeeper to have, you know, extra movement speed, nor does he need, you know, to close the distance between survivors when he has that hook. He already has that item there for him. So it's kind of a waste on Gamekeeper at the end of the day. Don't waste 10 persona points for impulsive, use it on something else. Moving on, we will have Ripper. For Ripper, I will put Ripper on niche as well. I'm joking. I'm gonna put Ripper on OP. And now, reason being that Ripper is a fast movement speed hunter. He's the fastest movement speed hunter. I'll just put it out there. He is the fastest movement speed hunter. When opening phase 1 and opening phase 2, he becomes even faster. A lot of Ripper mains do run hunts, and of course, if you do decide to run impulsive on a Ripper, it simply just means that you can have hunts. You can have your foggy, basically when you land a foggy blade hit, and then there's a fog behind the survivor's trails. You follow the trails, you use your long attack hit for that 8% movement speed buff, and of course his charged attack animation is 1.27 seconds. It's not too short, it's not too long. It's a little bit below average, I guess, for the utilization rate, but it's still really good on Ripper. You're able to close the gaps between you and the survivor relatively fast when you land that foggy blade. Therefore, I believe that it is really fast on Ripper. You can basically just run a speed build on Ripper, max hunt, impulsive, and then I don't know, maybe run something else. I don't know, maybe control freak with the chair control freak. Maybe run the control freak in which you basically fall off a building and get that extra movement speed buff. I don't know. It's really up to you by this point. So yeah, I believe that it's actually really OP for Ripper. Now, next we'll have Soul Weaver. Soul Weaver will definitely be at Don't Bring as well. Soul Weaver has a 0.78 second for a charged attack animation, so I don't really recommend it. And of course, if you have triple webs in a row for that triple speed boost, animation boost, you're not really gonna use that charge animation, to be fair. A lot of Soul Weaver mains just use, normal attack, not charge attack, so it's not really recommended on Soul Weaver. She already has the kit to catch up to survivors relatively fast, similar to Smiley, similar to Gamekeeper. Therefore, I think it's not really needed. I don't think it's a part of personal preferences as well. You're kind of just wasting 10 points of Persona on bring like want to no survivors as well. You don't really need that trait for Soul Weaver because Soul Weaver has Cocoon, so you don't really need a chair at the end of the day. So yeah, there you go for that one. Next one would be Geisha. Geisha actually isn't... I will put Geisha on niche, right? The reason why I like... Geisha is not OP, she's also not 50-50, she's actually really decent with Impulsive. Her launching action for charge attack is 0.82 seconds. It's relatively short. But the reason why we're putting Geisha in niche is because her movement speed in beauty form is 4.73 meters per second, but in prana form it's 4.56 meters per second. So therefore, like for a lot of Geisha mains, what you do is you dash through the palette with your butterfly, and then you attempt a charge attack hit to land the hit on the survivor. Right? And then when you do the dash, you're on prana form, so you move slower. But because with Impulsive, it allows you to move a little bit faster. I think, if we do the maths, let's see. If we do the maths, I think she actually moves faster in prana form when using charge attack than in beauty form. Therefore, it really suits Geisha a lot, so it really counters tie kiting against Geishas. It allows Geishas to have more of a chance to land that hit when the survivors are looping them. Therefore, it's niche on Geisha. It's not OP. It's not OP because the survivors can still mind game, and because prana form does slow Geisha down. So like Impulsive is kind of just there to counter the debuff in prana form for Geishas. Moving on, we will have Woo Woo. I don't know, to be honest, for Woo, but let's talk about it. Woo's charged attack animation for White Guard is 1.29 seconds, and then launching charge attack for Black Guard is 0.88 seconds. Now, I will put Woo on personal preference. I still believe that there's really no point in bringing it because, Woo early game relies a lot on insolence and an ambush hitting, so he gets his phase 1 opened, and then he gets the bell for Blackguard, and then he downs the survivor like within 70 seconds, let's say, within blink time, 70 seconds. For Woo, we do like, reason why I put on personal preference is because a lot of Woo mains like to use charge attack for White Guard. And of course, the effect range of White Guard is 5.49 meters. So that is quite a long range. Like if we compare it to Geisha, it's 3.04. If we compare it to Soul Weaver, it's 3.12. If we compare it to Ripper, it's 3.46. So as you can see, the average hunter is 3 point something, but Woo is 5 meters. So that is quite long, let's be honest. 5.49 meters as White Guard. That is quite like a long range for that hitbox. Therefore, I believe that it's actually personal preference. It's really up to the Wu Chan main for this one. It's not up to me to say, hey, should you bring it or not? I think it's really up to the Wu mains. Therefore, it's a personal preference for Wu mains. I can't really say much. It does work if you want it to work, but I probably wouldn't bring it myself, to be honest. Probably wouldn't bring it myself. Now moving on, we will have JoJo. JoJo's launching animation for charge attack is 0.98 seconds, right? But the reason why I am going to put them on 50-50 for this one instead of personal preference is because we do see a lot of JoJo mains using charge attacks, right? We do see a lot of them using charge attacks, so the extra movement speed boost does help with the mobility. JoJo has bad chase, right? And of course with the card trick as well, survivors can of course mind game and counter the Joseph with a card trick. So if they do manage to do that, at least JoJo still has a chance to, you know, land dash hit with the 8% extra movement speed boost for Impulsive. And of course we have to take into the fact that a lot of pro JoJos do bring no survivor persona trait. Therefore, that extra 5 points may really help a lot for the photographer main. But of course, at the end of the day, this is really a 50-50 situation. It's up to it's a part of your personal preference as well for Joseph mains, of course. But to me, it seems more favorable to JoJo mains than it is to Woo mains. Therefore, for me, Joseph will be a 50-50. Moving on, we will have Mad Eyes. Now, before we put Mad Eyes on the tier list, I'll just talk about it. Mad Eyes launching action for charge attack is 1.11 seconds, pretty average, and the range is 3.54 meters. Now, we really don't have, you know, we don't have Mad Eyes mains that are appear pretty often in an EU. I'll give you that part. Therefore, I think it's a personal preference for Mad Eye mains, because from CN server, right, based off CN server, Mad Eye mains like bring hunts, right? Mad Eye mains don't bring no survivors persona trait. Therefore, if you do want to run it, you can. It's really up to you. I'm not saying like it's really that bad for him, because if you run it with hunt and you run it with the extra movement speed boost when you do launch a charge attack animation, in which a lot of Mad Eye mains do use, then do go for it. But it's personal preference, because you need to think about the fact that you're wasting 10 persona points. Well, you're technically speaking wasting 5 persona points for no survivors, because Mad Eyes doesn't need no survivors persona trait. So it's kind of a waste of that 5, of that 10, let's say. So you can think about the pros and cons weighing on this one. Do you want that extra movement speed boost for mobility, or do you want something else like Control Freak for chair time, or, you know, dropping down from 2-story, or even like faster attack recovery when it comes to chairing a survivor, etc, etc. Therefore, it's a personal preference for Mad Eyes mains in general. Now then, moving on, we will have Feaster. I am putting Feaster on the issue. Now, people may be like, no, Feaster should be in niche. Feaster is a double hit hunter, there's no need to put him on niche. Well, mi amigo, the reason why I'm putting Feaster on niche, let's just talk about his launch. His charge attack animation is 1.09 seconds, pretty average, but his effective range is 5.57 meters. Still king. He is still a king when it comes to this, let's be honest. He is still a king when it comes to the longest charge attack hit. Therefore, you know, that extra movement speed buff is nice. Feasters can run no survivors if they want to, because forward is a menace. We know forward is a menace, and like, I just think if we weigh out the pros and cons, do I want to put Feaster on niche? You know what, I'll put Feaster on 50-50 for personal preference. I'll put Feaster on 50-50 for personal preference. It's okay, you could bring it if you want to, but it's also okay if you don't bring it. So it's really up to you. Of course, his range for charge attack is 5.57 meters. I don't really need to say too much about it. It's really nice to have that extra movement speed boost. But does Feaster really need no survivor persona trait? I don't think so. Therefore, 50-50. Yeah, let's move on. Next we will have Dreamy. Dreamy will be currently personal preference for me, because Dream Witch Mings do bring max hunts. Okay, let's be honest. Let's be honest, Dream Witch Mings do bring max hunt. Now, if they do decide to bring Impulsive, it means that they need that extra 10 persona point, and where is that gonna come out from? It's gonna come out from Berserker and the persona trait that links up with Berserker, in order for you to get that in order for you to get Impulsive, right? So it's a huge personal preference for Dream Witch. She's not a part of the 50-50 when it comes to Impulsive, simply because of the fact that Dream Witch, like we do know Dream Witch Mings use it, like the followers do use charge attack hit quite a lot, but like sometimes when you're able to hit a survivor and get an extra 15% attack recovery boost and then double hit a survivor so they fail rescue, that's also a good thing. So then it's not a 50-50 pro and con way. It really depends on the Dream Witch, because it's not like all games you need to use charge attacks to land that hit, and even if you do use that charge attack, you're probably not gonna land that hit. Let's be honest, because the effectiveness range is 3.12 meters. That is short as hell. I think that's one of the shortest we have here in the tier list. Right, 3.12 is really short for charge attack. Oh, never mind. Axe Boy is also 3.12. But at least Axe Boy's normal attack range is 3.04 meters. But Dream Witch's normal attack range is 2.7 meters. So like, yeah, there you have it. But then, you know, we're gonna move on to Axe Boy, so I'm gonna keep Axe Boy to Axe Boy's, you know, part. But yeah, for Dream Witch, I think it's more of a personal preference. Moving on will be Axe Boy. Axe Boy will be niche as well. Thank God, Axe Boy actually does have a good persona now. Now, you may be thinking, hey Kuro, is it really worth it? Yes, it is. I'm sorry, but yes, it is. I'll just read this out for you. Axe Boy's launching action for charge attack is 1.08 seconds. Its effectiveness range for charge attack is also 3.12 seconds. Now, you guys may be wondering, why is Axe Boy niche? Now then, think about it this way. You throw, like, let's just say, phase 1, you get a fireball, you launch a charge attack hit. That's like so much extra movement speed boost for your mobility to catch up to the survivors. Wow. Like, if you're a good Axe Boy, you can definitely land that hit. No joke. Good Axe Boys, you can definitely do it. Same as good Ember, you can definitely do it. And now imagine when phase 1 has been opened, what can you do now? You can basically throw a spirited resentful roll down, right, when the survivor is trying to loop you, and then you can try land the fire orb. If you don't land the fire orb, you get a movement speed boost along with the resentful roll speed boost along with the impulsive speed boost. Holy crap, is this guy faster than Ripper? Probably not. Well, I mean, he probably is, but then the duration is not as long as Ripper, let's be honest on that part. Therefore, Axe Boy is really niche. In my opinion, it's really niche. It's okay for Axe Boy to actually bring no survivors, because Axe Boy does get harassed to hell, similarly to Geisha. Right, but at least Geisha can, you know, immediately come back to the survivor within 8 seconds. It may be a little bit similar to Axe Boy, but Axe Boy's, like, you know, Axe Boy is more predictable, because you just need to put a resentful road out, and then the rescuer can basically, or the harasser can basically see, oh, your referral road is going east, I'll just move west so that you can catch up to me, ha 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 ha. But compared to Geisha, it's kind of like, Geisha has more leeway when it comes to mobility compared to Axe Boy, let's be honest. But I believe that is still good on Axe Boy, therefore do run on him if you want to. It's niche in my opinion, you know, the extra movement speed boost really does help a lot, let's be honest. Moving on, we will have Evil Reptilian. Now, before we talk about Evil Reptilian, let's talk about his charge attack animation. Its launching action for charge attack is 1.62 seconds, which is not bad, and the range is 3.18 meters. So, like, damn son, it's actually not too bad. For Reptilian, I will put it on personal preference, because I feel like Reptilian Mings doesn't really need it. You know, they don't need no survivor persona trait, because similarly, as I said with Geisha, they have a lot of leeway to go back to survivors ASAP when they push the harasser away. And of course, good reptilians know how to do their jumps, know how to like dash down, crash down properly and deal damage. It's really a rare case scenario in which Reptilian needs to use his charge attack. Therefore, for me, I believe that there's better persona traits to use, but it's really up to your personal preference for this one. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say for Evil Reptilian. Now, moving on, we will have Bloody Queen. I am going to put Bloody Queen in OP tier, right? And the reason why we're doing this is because, like, she's probably niche, but I'm saying OP. Reason being that, like, in many of my streams, like, I'll just say this right here. Give me a sec. BQ has a charge attack animation for 1.42 seconds. It's a little bit above average, which is nice, and the effect range is 3.21 meters, which is not bad, but it's not the best. It's average. Let's be honest, it's average. But of course, if you think about it this way, right? Imagine, like, why this is good for BQ is because I believe that it's really good for mirrors. You can run BQ with Exhibitionists for fast attack recovery when survivors tyke at you, and when you have mirrors, and when you miss mirrors you don't get punished too much. But of course, with Impulsive, I believe that if you use a charge attack hit with mirror, that extra movement speed boost is really going to help you out to, you know, catch up to the survivors with the mirror and then land the hit on the mirror. So it basically helps out BQ quite a lot, in my opinion, right, to land that hit. And of course, when survivors are looping you as well, that charge attack hit may come in really handy, because BQ's normal movement speed is 4.64 meters per second, which is, you know, average, really average. Let's be honest, it's average, but I think it's still good, right? They nerfed it from 4.7 something meters. I know, yeah, that we don't care about that, but like with Impulsive, I believe that it's really strong on BQ. She probably is niche, and I will agree with you saying that she is niche, but I'm gonna put her on the very low OP tier. Moving on, we will have Bonbon. Now, before we talk about Bonbon, I'll just say it. Bonbon's charge attack is 1.64 seconds and the range is 3.12 meters. Now, 1.64 seconds is actually above average in so many ways. That's actually pretty darn long for Bonbon. But I will still put it on personal preference for Guard 26. But higher than all of these guys. You know, let me just put Dream Witch at the very bottom. Let's just put Dream Witch at the very bottom. Right, yeah. But like, Bonbon's definitely at the higher place compared to everyone else in the personal preference tier. Reason being that a lot of Bonbon mains just, you know, land their bombs, get the chips, down the survivor with a blink, down. So it's really rare that you use charge attack hits, I'll be honest with you. But because it's above average animation, and of course the range is average, I'll put it on personal preference just for the sake of it. Compared to like everyone else in your don't bring category, they don't really need it. And of course, Bonbon doesn't have mobility, so it's nice to have a little bit of mobility on him, if you prefer mobility, of course, which is why this is a personal preference here. Now moving on, we will have Anne. Before we put Anne anywhere, I'm gonna say Anne has a charge attack animation of 1.41 seconds. Its range is 3.8 meters, a little bit above average. Well, I mean, it is above average. Yeah, it's above average. It's a little bit above average, yeah. So it is pretty darn decent. Once again, it's really personal preference. Because Anne does not need to bring, because Anne does not need to bring no survivor persona trait. I feel like it's just a waste. Right, Anne has dash, that's fine. And of course, if you dash and you can't, you know, you can't reach the survivor, you can use your long charge attack to catch up to the survivor. Because Anne's movement speed is 4.73 meters per second, which is above average, right, compared to everyone else, which is 4.62 meters, 64 meters, yada. But I still, yeah, it's really personal preference. It's not 50-50, right? It's not 50-50 because Anne majority of the time probably will be able to land the cast anyways and then stun the survivor. Therefore, it's personal preference for you. If you want the extra movement speed boost, it's there for you. But Anne doesn't really need no survivors, right? With tinnitus, Anne can just put the cat out and then put the cat back towards where the survivor down, so then the harasser can't do shite. You know, it's really personal preference for you on that one. I really can't say much. Moving on with Violinist, I will say do not bring it on Violinist. Violinist may be a double hit hunter, but I don't know. I don't know. No, I don't think so. Like, the Violinist doesn't need no survivors. The Violinist needs Exhibitionist and something else. Just no survivors is not a good trade on him. His animation for charge attack is 1.21 seconds. I think that's a little bit average, or a little bit, just a little tiny bit below average. And the charge attack range is 3.38 meters. I think that's average, a little bit of above average, but at the same time, I don't think you're gonna be using it that much. Alright, I really don't think you're gonna be using it that much. I really don't. The reason why I put bomb on personal preference is because like you can land your bombs, like you can land good bombs, and then you can get the survivor down. You can say the same for Violinist, but if Violinist lands a good string, it's already half health. You just blink the survivor down. Don't care. I mean, you could. I guess you could put it on personal preference, right? You land your string, the survivor gets their movement speed boost, and then you start doing your long charge attack animation, and then you catch up to the survivors ASAP, and then you down the survivors ASAP. You could, but I still think that it's because of the no survivor persona trait. There's really no need. Like, at least for Bonbon, he could have it if he wants it, because he can counter it with no survivor persona trait by putting bombs on the ground, so then forwards can come, yada yada yada. But for Violinist, personal preference, you know, I'll change it to personal preference. Why not? It's really up to you. Moving on, we will have Galaxy Sculptor. Now, Sculptor's charged attack animation is 1.62 seconds, that's above average, and the range is 4.05 meters. 4.05 meters. That is long, that is long. Maybe because I'm a Sculptor main. Right. Maybe because I'm a Sculptor main. I'm gonna put it on 50-50. But above this guy. And above this guy. Her animation is above average, so she can utilize that trait well. And her effectiveness range is also above average. 4 meters, bro. That's like 4th or 5th place. That's above average. So like, you could run it for the extra mobility, as Bonbon has said, but a little bit better, because of the, you know, extra seconds, 0.00 something seconds, and of course of the extra, like, you know, meter for that. So you could run it on Gala. It's really up to you for this one. I haven't run it on Gala just yet because I like running Nostalgic on Gala. Therefore, it's a 50-50. It's personal preference, but it's also good. But it's also good. So why not do it? There you go for Gala. I should, you know, I'm gonna explain a little bit more. Gala has no mobility, but like the problem with this is if Gala lands a statue to block the survivor's route and you use a charge attack animation, you're probably not gonna land that charge attack animation because survivors can just immediately go behind the pallet. There's a chance you could land it. Of course, the chance is very high if you time it properly. But of course, you know, it is really up to you by this point. I think it's not bad. I would run it sometimes depending on the team comp. Like if they do loop you quite a bit, or if they do create a lot of distance quite a bit. I don't think it's bad. I use charge attack animation on Gala quite a bit. So it's 50-50 for me, honestly. Okay, moving on, we will have Undead though. Oh my lord, Undead finally got a buff. Undead really will be OP, and it will be at the highest tier, at the very highest tier. Right, you know what, yeah, at the very highest tier. Now, his charge attack animation is 1.94 seconds, that's way above average. His effectiveness for charge attack is 3.88 seconds, 88 meters, sorry. That is average, but let's be honest, right? The reason Undead is OP is because you cannot loop an undead anymore. Ha ha ha. If you do, like, if when undead has 50 energy, he can't be stunned when you use your normal attack or in attack animation. Therefore, if you dare to loop an undead and if you're against a good undead, well, he will use long attack animation, and then if you put the pallet down, no problem, he gets extra movement speed boost to catch up to you, and the pallet breaks immediately. Or he gets extra movement speed boost, but you put the pallet down, and just in time, he finishes the attack animation. Well, you are screwed, my man. You are screwed. Yeah, I think it's really good for undead, and of course, undead brings no survivors. He brings no survivors. All undead mains bring that trait. Okay, I bring it. Even I'm not an undead main, but I know how to bring that trait. It's OP for undead. It literally counters loop so well. The charge attack is like 3rd place. Like not Ripper. Who's first? Who is first? Who's second? I don't know. Like 1.94 seconds. Let me just go back to Sculptor. Sculptor is 1.62 seconds. And then Undead is 1.94 seconds. Just think about it. Just think about it. That is strong for Undead. Next on the list we have Nightmare. Just don't bring it. Like just don't bring it. You know why. You know why. Nightmare has his own mobility to catch up to survivors when he locks onto them. No Nightmare mains ever use charge attack. It's really rare. Don't bring it. I don't need to explain. You can use crows to teleport to survivors to catch up to them. Even if you miss it, you can just crow, immediately teleport, and then you teleport to where the crow exactly is when you press that teleport. Therefore, don't bring it on Nightmare. Do not do it. Don't be stupid. Okay? I believe you're all very smart, sugar buns. You may be dumb. That's okay. We pop at you. But don't bring it on Nightmare. Okay, good. Now, moving on, we will have Breaking Wheel. Breaking Wheel will also be a part of personal preference. I simply believe that you should not bring it, but of course, if you want the extra movement speed boost, it is there for you. Breaking Wheel's charge attack is 1.54 seconds, and the range is 3.54 meters. Average overall, let's be honest, average overall. But if you land the trap is like 2 seconds, and during that 2 seconds you can definitely catch up to survivors relatively fast, because it's really hard to land the trap. That's when you're really far away from survivors. Therefore, if you land the trap, you're probably close to the survivors anyway. Therefore, don't do it. Do not bring it. If you could bring it if you want to, it's really up to you. But I personally would not bring it because there's better traits out there. Yeah, there's really better traits out there, let's be fair. Yeah, there's better traits out there, let's be like Berserker could be a good one, you know what I mean? Nostalgic also could be a good one, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's more of a personal preference on Breaking Wheel, but because everything is pretty average overall, it's really up to you. I wouldn't say don't bring it, I would say it's personal preference, because it does work on Breaking Wheel to a certain extent, I guess. Moving on, we will have my boy Waxy. Waxy will be don't bring. Sorry. No, sorry. Just don't do it. I would say don't do it. Because, like, you don't really see Wax. Like, Wax Artist, I'll just say it out loud for ya. Wax Artist, his, charge attack is 1.8 seconds, relatively long, yes. The range is 3.54 meters, relatively average, pretty average, yes. But like when it comes to Wax Artist, I think when you land 100% wax, there's really no need to use charge attack animation, because when you land the wax, it's a 3-second stun. It's 1 second longer than Polloon. Therefore, if you can land the hit on Polloon, you can definitely land the hit on Wax Artist. And of course, Wax Artist moves while he pours out the wax. Therefore, you can control the wax yourself as well. If you're far away, maybe you can hold back a wax. But in the end of the day, if you're far away, and then like if it takes you 3.5 seconds to reach the survivor, you can just immediately charge attack, and you don't need a speed boost. I don't think you need a speed boost. You could go personal preference, but I personally wouldn't. If it's personal preference, you're basically lower than that guy by this point. But yeah, you know what, I'll put it on personal preference just for the sake of it, for whoever brings it. I wouldn't do it, but it's up to you. Yeah, it's up to you. Next we will have Naiad. Before we do anything, Naiad has a 1.8 second charge attack and a 3.71 meter, a little bit above, it's above average for the animation, and the range is a little bit above average. Therefore, I can't say much, but Naiad, you know what, I'm gonna put on personal preference, but it's gonna be here. Naiad counters looping. Naiad also, but the only reason why I'm putting in personal preference is because, like, when you get the harpoon back, you lose your movement speed boost, and there's an animation. And of course, if the survivor is near the window, you want to launch charge attack, and you want to guarantee that charge attack. Yeah, you can run impulsive. Emmy ran impulsive. Therefore, out of respect for Emmy, you can run it if you want to, but I simply wouldn't. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I would run it. No survivor is pretty good on Naiad as well, just so you can get the puddle out. You know what? Out of respect, 50-50. 50-50, 50-50. Here, you know what? Here, we put on 50-50. We put on 50-50. Yeah, out of respect. But like, I'm not being biased as well, because I think now that I think about it, after reviewing Emmy's gameplay, she did bring impulsive. It did work. But she didn't use charge attack. Maybe if she used charge attack, it would work. Like, hypothetically speaking, in the ideal case, it's 50-50. But, nah, I don't know. Moving on, we will have Clerk. I believe it's a personal preference for Clerk for the time being. I really do believe it's a personal preference for the time being for a Clerk, sadly. There's also oops, you could for Clerk. You really could for Clerk. It's really up to you, but to me, it's more like, you have to make the decision of, do I want to waste no survivors, that 5 points for that charge? Like, I know Clerks do use a lot of charge attack, which is why I'm saying personal preference, but no survivors, Clerk doesn't really use it, right? And I feel like for a Clerk, Berserker is really good, you know, just to get that fast attack recovery and then land the second hit immediately, so then you can, you know, avoid the rebound kite, or even like rage, berserker, addiction to counter the stuns. So it's really a personal preference to you by this point for Clerk. Now moving on to Hermit. You know what? We'll actually talk. You know what? I forgot to give Clerks. Clerk is 1.78 seconds. No, 1.1 seconds charge attack and 3.8 meters. It's all really average for Clerk. Therefore, I'm putting on personal preference. Now moving on, we have Hermit. Hermit's charge attack is 1.15 seconds and 3.71 meters. It's average with the animation, but a little bit above average with the charge attack effectiveness range. Would you use it on Hermit though? It's still I think it's a personal preference in this situation. I know some Hermit mains do bring impulsive, because they could land a really far away. They could potentially land a really far away orb, right? But the chance of that happening is very low. But if they do land it, they will be stunned for 2 seconds. And like, of course, if you stun them without hitting them, and if you stun them again, it's going to be 4 seconds. Therefore, you can definitely catch up to the survivors without using impulsive. But if you only have 1 orb, maybe impulsive would work. Therefore, it's a personal preference on my part for impulsive. So yeah, there you go for that one. I really don't have anything to say about this, about Hermit in general. It's really up to you. And now that this will mark the end of the Impulsive Tierlist for Hunters. Some of you probably will disagree on me with this a lot. You can put it down in the comments. I will read it and maybe I'll change my opinion on it. But that will be for another video, probably in 3 months. I'm not gonna do this every month, every season. So probably in 6 months, every 2 seasons. But thank you for watching this video. Thank you for sticking up to me. We're close to 10k right now, so hi, if you're new around here, why not subscribe? If you enjoyed this content, why not like? Hey, bye bye. I'm joking. We're nearly at 10k. I bought the maid outfit. I've worn it. It suits me quite a bit. I look like a female. But of course, thank you all for watching this video. Thank you for putting up with me as well. I hope you learned something new. And hey, if you're new around here, why not subscribe? I do contents like these daily, when I don't have uni, of course. But of course, hopefully you have a good day and good night. Thank you for coming once again, and I will see you in the next video or stream. Bye bye for now.